Let's go over the C scale. We're going to start on the C that's on the G string. Unless you're a bass player, then just start on whichever C you want. You're going to start on violas and violins and cellos. Are going to start on the C on the G string, which is the fourth finger on the G string for cellos and the third finger for violas and violins and fiddles. Violins and violas may want to watch the scale shapes video first. I'll talk about what a scale shape is and what the scale shape is to use for a third finger scale. Cellos, just know that you'll be using your second finger and not your third finger in this scale. Okay, so it goes like this. We're just going to play 4 bows on each note. And I repeat the top note. Great. Next, we're going to do a bowing called Potato Portato. It goes like this. I call it Potato Portato because the rhythm is 1 potato, 2 potato. But the bowing is called Portato. So it sounded to me like tomato, tomato, potato, 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 portato, portato. Portato is the name of the stroke. It has an R in it. When we figure out what a bowing is like, we want to look at the beginning of the stroke, right? Whether it starts, for instance, off the string or on the string or in the string. We want to look at the middle of the stroke. And there's an interesting thing about the middle of the stroke. It could be like this with a sustained motion. It could be with a ballistic motion, yeah? And you might not know the word ballistic as applied to a bowing. You may have heard it before. Somebody says that they just went ballistic, meaning they were bouncing off the walls or they were really angry. Ballistic means having to do with the motion of a ball. And again, it's not really clear what that means as far as bowing goes, but think about if you're playing with a ball, if you're tossing it to somebody, after it leaves your hand, you don't have any control over what it does. So if you trigger a reaction in somebody, then you don't have any control over what they do, right? They might get really angry. And so going ballistic is that kind of thing. But if you trigger a motion in your bow, you can release the control of it, right? You don't have to keep control. You could do controlled motion or ballistic motion. You see the difference? And both of them are good. Both of them are good. But for certain bowings, we want ballistic motion. So when we're figuring out a bowing, we look at the beginning, we look at the middle, what kind of motion it uses. We look at the end, right? Whether you stop it or let it stop on its own. We look at what happens between the bows. And then we imitate it. Okay, so that's potato portato. And now we're going to do one last bowing for this scale. It's called running, running, stop, stop. And again, watch the beginning, the middle, and the end, and what happens between each stroke, each motion. All right. So we're not just looking at the rhythm. You can, if that's the extent of what you can do, what you feel you can do, but also look at how this bowing is produced so that you can level it up, take it to a new level, right? So it's not just the rhythm. You're not just parroting back the rhythm, but you're actually doing it in a professional way. See you in the next lesson.